Imagine a well-orchestrated organization with no CEO, no human resources department, and no job descriptions. Imagine an efficient and effective organization that learns, grows, and transforms itself without a strategic plan, no annual goals, no tangible incentives, and no change management. Our traditional organizations, rooted in the command and control architecture of the industrial era, have a hard time believing that such an organization could possibly exist. Traditional organization hierarchies prescribe leadership. The higher one rises in the organization and the more prestigious the title. Indeed, at one time, leadership in traditional organizations was based on knowledge, the person at the top of the organization having the greatest knowledge of all. Yet today our organizations are so complex that no one person can possibly understand the intricacies of every aspect of an organization. Leadership based on all-encompassing comprehensive knowledge is no longer possible. So what creates leadership? Scholars have spent decades studying leadership in an attempt to understand what makes a leader. Training programs provide the skills and knowledge it has been determined that one needs to be a leader. Assessments attempt to determine which person might best lead an organization. Yet we still can't explain why some people succeed as leaders and others fail. In fact, sometimes in a crisis situation, the person who steps up to be a leader is the person that no one would have picked. I'd like to share with you a story of a totally different kind of organization. This is a self-organizing system that has no CEO, no human resource department, and no traditional structures. This is a story about the U.S.-Canadian Dog Rescue Network. Our story begins with two old souls who found themselves as strays at the Ashland County Dog Shelter. Matilda was an old hound with a large tumor on her lip, although that didn't keep her from eating. To make matters worse, she was diagnosed positive with heartworm, a fatal condition if not treated, and sometimes deadly even with treatment. Matilda would never be put up for adoption. Hank was a senior toy fox terrier. He weighed only 8 pounds and had a terrible tumor on one of his testicles. He also had serious dental problems. Hank, despite his lovely disposition, would never be a candidate for adoption either. 5 years ago, these dogs would have died. This year, they were rescued by an amazing network of volunteers who are committed to a singular mission: save the life of a dog. I've been involved with the rescue network for many years as a volunteer at the Ashland County Dog Shelter. My first email went to Cindy. I have never met Cindy, but Cindy founded a rescue and specializes in senior dogs, hospice cases, and dogs with medical needs. She has assisted me with several dogs. Cindy agreed to take Hank and Matilda and put them on her wait list for an open foster home. In the meantime, we made arrangements for temporary care. Hank came to my house for 2 months, and Matilda went to stay with Stephanie, another volunteer at our shelter. Both dogs received medical care at 2 different veterinary hospitals that routinely discount their rates for rescue dogs. Hank was neutered, had his tumor removed, had his teeth cleaned, and had a few bad teeth pulled. Matilda began her treatment for heartworm. The $400 veterinary bill was paid by Cindy's rescue. When the time came to transport these 2 dogs to Cindy's rescue, we decided that the 6-hour trip would be too long for Matilda to endure. Typical transports involve multiple legs, with the dogs being transferred from one volunteer driver to the next about every hour. So instead, I contacted Chris with Pilots and Paws. Chris has assisted us before and was delighted to be of help. On a lovely day in August, I took Hank and Matilda to the Lorain County Airport, where they caught their ride to eastern Pennsylvania, on their way to new foster homes, possible adoption, and a new life. Now, this story may seem like a little bit of a miracle, but the real miracle is that it's happening every day. In dog shelters across the country, A large, complex, ever-growing, self-organizing network of volunteers is saving dogs' lives. I'd like to look at the stories of everyday leadership that we see in this story because I think they illustrate how a self-organizing structure helps people to step up and take a leadership role. In 2008, Brenda Bunn saw a need for better communication among volunteers in the rescue network. Specifically, she wanted a way to better connect the rescue members in the United States and Canada. So she founded a Yahoo group and called it Cross-Border Dog Rescue. This group helps rescues, animal controls, dog shelters, foster homes on both sides of the border to move dogs freely to other foster homes, adopters, and other rescues. I mention Cross-Border Dog Rescue because this is where I first connected with Cindy. I have also used Cross-Border Dog Rescue to find and work with 35 other rescue organizations and to move more than 200 dogs out of my shelter to rescues. It has also been an invaluable source of information on how to care for dogs. Today, this group has over 300 members and is successful in helping rescue operations in both sides of the border. No one appointed Brenda to be a leader. She saw a need, she saw a way to fill it, and she stepped up and just did it. My next story is about Cindy Ohlweiler. Cindy founded Angels Among Us, which is a rescue organization in eastern Pennsylvania. It's located 600 miles from Ashland, Ohio, and as I said, I've never met Cindy. But Cindy's and her volunteers provide foster homes for senior dogs, dogs with medical needs, and dogs who are hospice cases. Dedicated to making sure that fewer dogs are euthanized in shelters due to lack of space and lack of funds to care for their medical care, this rescue has saved over 500 dogs. No one told Cindy to create a rescue. No one gave her directions to do it, or for that matter, to set up the thrift shop that she uses to support the medical expenses. Cindy just saw a need, and she just did it. My third example is Pilots and Paws. Debbie Boyes and John Warenberg co-founded Pilots and Paws in 2008. Debbie is a retired nurse and was involved in a national Doberman rescue. When her family decided to adopt Brock, a Doberman retriever, at a rescue in Florida, John offered to fly the dog from Florida to its new home in South Carolina. And hence, Debbie and John decided this was a good idea, and they founded Pilots and Paws. We have two pilots, Chris and Scott, who have assisted us with transporting dogs from our shelter in Ashland as a result of Debbie and John taking the initiative, recognizing a need, and establishing an organization to deal with it. They just did it. So what is different about a self-organizing system that people are inspired to take a leadership role? I think there are three basic differences. The first is that acts of leadership in a self-organizing system come from the heart. People are following their passion and are committed to making a difference in the outcomes of their organizations. To them, their work matters. The second difference I see is that the organization does not confer leadership on anyone. Individuals step up and choose to recognize a need, take the lead, and make a difference. It's their choice, and there are no structures standing in the way. The third difference that I see is that each person gets to respond to a need in a way that uses their unique talents and skills. Given this freedom to act in line with their own abilities, people have contributed extraordinary ideas to improve the rescue network. Now, I know what you're all thinking. This sounds absolutely wonderful. It works great in a volunteer organization. It will never work in the real world, right? Y'all thinking that? It'll never work in my organization. Well, let me share with you 3 quick stories of where I think this is already working in traditional organizations that have a command and control structure. My first story is about the lace maker. Many years ago, one of my professors was working with a microchip manufacturer. Monotonous and tedious work was the excuse for poor quality inspection. However, there was one woman who seemed to love her work and who was consistently doing a good job and had quality inspections. When asked, she explained that she saw herself as making lace. She had come from Puerto Rico, where the women in her family had made lace for over 300 years. Her passion for working with small, intricate details connected her to her family's history and gave meaning to her work. My second story involves one of my clients who provides services to individuals with developmental disabilities. One of the staff members who works in a residence facility likes to braid hair, and when she is scheduled to come to work, the women in the residence look forward to having their hair braided and done up and looking pretty. This caregiver is sharing her unique talents, bringing her skills to the work beyond the job description. No one has told her to do this. She has just taken her skill and done it. The third example I have is about the young man I saw hawking pizza one afternoon in front of a local pizza shop. He was carrying a sign that read 2 for $10, advertising pizza to all the passing motorists. Now this, you might think, has got to be among the lowliest of jobs. How could anyone possibly find a way to make this work meaningful and to use their unique talents? Well, this man had found a way. He was wearing a set of headphones, and he was literally dancing up and down the street. He found a way. You know, we are facing some very serious issues in our world today, a lot of challenges, and I think it's very important that we are able to use the skills of everyday leaders like Brenda and Cindy, Debbie and John, the lace maker, the hair braider, and the pizza guy. That is why I feel that it is so important to observe and understand the power of self-organizing systems to unleash this talent. So once again, I ask you, can you imagine what it would be like in your organization if the traditional leaders got out of the way? Can you imagine what individuals could accomplish if rules and regulations and job descriptions didn't limit their innovation? Can you imagine what a joy it would be to make a difference and bring your unique talents to your workplace to enrich your work? If you look around, I think you'll find that there are examples of everyday leaders already creating a little bit of self-organization. What we need to do is recognize where traditional structures are getting in the way and dismantle them. Find everyday leadership and nurture it. And then you too may see miracles happen every day. Thank you.